Hi everyone, this is Jamie with the Somerville Parks and Recreation Department. We're here at the Kennedy Pool for the Kennedy Pool Paint Party. Today we're going to paint an ocean scene with some fish in it. These are the things that I have. You might not have everything at home, but that's okay. You can use other things. So I have this plastic piece that I can put paint on, but you can use a plate or you can use another piece of paper. I have a couple different paint brushes. You don't need more than one, but sometimes if you have extra, it's helpful. I have a canvas. It's 9 by 12, but if you want to just use a piece of paper, that's totally okay too. I also have some water and napkins. That way when I want to switch my colors, I can just put the paintbrush into the water, clean it off, and dry off the paintbrush because you don't want the paint to get too watery. So today we're using acrylic paint. The reason why I'm using acrylic paint is because you can paint over it once it dries, but you are free to use any other kind of paint that you have at your house. So the colors that we're going to use today, but feel free if you don't have these ones, you can use additional colors because this is going to be your own painting. We're going to use white, green, black, I'm going to grab two different colors of blue, a lighter one and a darker one. We're also going to use some yellow and some purple. I'm going to start by putting the paint onto my paint palette. Make sure you don't put too much because you can always add more. There's the blue. Here's the purple. My yellow I'm going to put farther away from the darker colors so they don't mix. Here's black. Here's the lighter blue. The green. And I'm going to use a different white. Right in the middle. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the green and you're going to paint the whole background green. This is where if you have a bigger paintbrush it might be helpful, but if you don't, that's okay. Make sure you leave it a little bit wet because we're going to do some mixing of colors. You see how I'm not covering the whole background? We're going to be able to fill that in with the other colors that we use. So I'm going to take some of the darker blue and we're going to mix it in. You don't want to mix it too much because you don't want it to overshadow the green. And remember, if you wanted to use different colors, you can do that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white and I'm going to mix it through the water. Now we have to let it dry. What you can do to speed up the drying time is you can pick it up and you can wave it around to try and dry it off. It'll probably take 5 to 10 minutes to fully dry, depending on how thick you put the paint on. While I'm letting the painting dry, I'm going to rinse off my brush. You also might want to get some new water just so that when we start using the lighter colors, it doesn't pull from the green and blue that's already on the paintbrush. So for my fish, I'm going to make it purple and green, but you're welcome to use any color that you want. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to make a lighter green. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to pour some more green onto my palette or your plate, whatever you're using. I'm going to pour a little bit more white as well. Right next to it. We're going to start mixing the green into the white. That way we can make it as light as we want. So I have my painting horizontal. If you want, you can switch it vertical. It's up to you. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw a piece of seaweed with this light color green that we have. I'm going to start on the right side of the canvas. I'm just going to draw a line. You want to have a little bit of a point at the top. We want it to be not straight because if you're in the water, there's a current, so it's going to move the seaweed around. So the next piece of seaweed that I'm going to do is going to be a little bit darker green. So the color that we already mixed, we're going to add some more of that green color into it to make it a little bit darker. You're going to draw the same type of line with the next piece of seaweed. But this time it doesn't have to be the same height. It can be shorter or it can be taller. I'm going to make this one a little shorter. little point at the top. Now we're going to add the last bit of green that I have, and I'm going to add some blue into the color to make a third of the 4 pieces of seaweed that we're going to draw. I'm going to move this one over a little bit on this side of the canvas. And the last one that we're going to do, I'm going to add some white into it. I'm going to make this one a little shorter. I'm going to go through the other ones with just a little bit of different color to give it some dimension. Okay, so now we're going to work on the fish. I'm going to clear off my paintbrush. I'm going to dab it dry. Okay, so we're going to start with some purple, and I'm going to have you draw a circle first. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to put a little dot to the left of the circle. Then what you're going to do is you're going to connect the top of the circle down to the point, and the same thing with the bottom. And you're going to paint in that spot right there. And then for the back of the circle, you're going to bring the point closer than we did on the front, and we're going to connect it. So the next part that we're going to do, you're going to take your purple again, and we're going to work on the fish tail. You're going to start at the tail, and you're going to drag it across. You're going to make sure that you draw it as if the water is making it flow. We're going to make a little bit of a separation for the second part of the tail. Then we're going to do one on the top. Up and wave back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some of that green color. It doesn't matter which one you've already made, or if you want to add some extra green on yours. I'm just going to mix a couple of them together. And I'm going to bring it through the tail. I'm going to grab some more purple. going to do a little bit through the top. And we're going to do the same thing through the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit more purple. Okay, so now we have to wait for that to dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to rinse off our paintbrush again. And we're going to draw a little seashell. I have more space here, so I'm going to draw a seashell here. We have that yellow that we already put on our palette. You're going to dip into the yellow. And you're going to start with a V. You're going to connect it at the top, paint it, and you're going to make a little bit of waves at the top. Then you want to put 2 parts out at the side for the bottom of the shell. We're going to do a straight line across and then little triangles on the side. You're going to rinse off your brush and we're going to draw a couple of bubbles. So for this, you're going to need some more white. So you want to make sure that all of your bubbles are different sizes. So we're just drawing white circles. If you want to draw some more, you can, but I think I'm going to leave that many for now. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of white and I'm going to go through the fishtail. And add in some more green again. So now I'm going to add the eye on the fish. Since we're looking on the side of the fish, we're only going to be able to see one eye. So we're going to start by putting a little white dot up at the front. And you're going to put the pupil, so we're going to get a little black, put it right in the middle. We're going to draw the fish lip. And we're going to draw some gills. We're going to outline where the tail starts. So we're going to do a little half circle right here. And I'm going to put some purple right on top of this. So I'm going to rinse off my paintbrush, because if you let it sit with the paint on it for too long, you can ruin the paintbrush. And then I'm going to grab one of my smaller paintbrushes. And we're going to draw some details on the bubbles to make them look 3D. So what you're going to do is you're going to come down, across, and down. Kind of like an apostrophe. I'm going to do that on all of the bubbles. And now I'm going to draw some details on the shell. So when you're drawing these lines, you want to make sure you're bringing them straight, because we want to outline the bottom of the shell. And then we're going to outline the rest of the shell. So we're going to go across the bottom, around the sides, both sides. Then we're going to go up on one side of the shell, and then we're going to draw those waves on the top. And bring it down to connect on the other side. We're going to outline our seaweed. So we're gonna draw, I'm gonna start from the top and go all the way down in the same motion that you drew the seaweed. So they're not gonna be straight lines, they're gonna be squiggly. All the way down to the bottom. We're gonna start back up at the top on the other side. Go around. And all the way back down. I'm gonna do that on the next seaweed. So starting at the top, going around, all the way down to the bottom. Outlining will make the images pop. So we're starting at the top again, all the way down, come around, back down, and all the way to the bottom. If you don't like the really dark outline, you can take your paintbrush and mix it a little bit with the green inside to make the lines a little bit less harsh, just like this. But it's up to you. So you can see the difference between these ones. I'm going to start up at the top and come around all the way down. And on this side, you see how the fish, the bottom of their fins is coming through? We don't want to draw a line straight through the fins. We want to start at the top, come around, skip where the fin is, and come to the bottom, and then finish outlining that seaweed. And I'm gonna mix it a little bit so the lines are not as harsh. And then we're gonna outline the last seaweed. Again, we're not gonna draw through the fish. All the way down to the bottom. And I'm gonna do the same thing again, where I blur the lines a little bit. Now we're going to outline the rest of the fish. We already drew off where the tail starts, so we want to bring it all the way up. We want to go through the top fins and bring it all the way back down to the lips. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Then we're going to outline the fins all the way around and back to the fish. And remember, we want to make sure that these aren't straight lines. Starting at the top, coming around, and then back to the fish. And then I'm going to do the back fins, starting right here at the back end of the fish, all the way around, all the way out, starting in the middle, right here, and then coming back. Right at the top, all the way coming down, back to where the fish is. So what I am going to do for these back ones, we're going to separate them. So we're going to take that line and bring it all the way back to the fish. And then this last one right here and bring it all the way back to the fish. You can do the same thing like we did before, where we're going to blur the lines a little bit. Take some of the green right here. Then I'm just going to go through and put some more green to the tail. So now we're going to outline our bubbles with the black. So we're just going to draw big circles around them. Starting up at the top, going around, right back. That's one. We're going to go all the way around. Right back up. We have two more around the bottom here, all the way around to connect the circle, and last one all the way around, back up. And I'm going to blur these lines a little bit as well. Doing a nice little circle. So the last thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you mark on it your name. That way, everyone knows who the artist is. So I'm going to take a light blue and I'm going to write my name right at the right bottom corner. And I still have to outline the bottom last fin. So we're going to take the black, starting at the fish, go all the way out. We're going to go through the seaweed. And then I'm just going to blur those lines a little bit. And I'm going to take a little bit of white and just add to that. There you go.